this is Celeste and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to show you some cards I made using Concord and 9th's March release. I did not get the whole release, but I did get the Fine Line Florals stamp set with the matching dies. And I got the dotted fill-in stamp set. I can't even tell you how much in love with this stamp set I am. It is so much fun and absolutely just fabulous. And along with that, I also got the Big Thanks cutting die and the free Deco Dots cutting die that came with if your order was over a certain amount. This is actually so much fun. So we'll start out first with our Big Thanks cutting dies and the dots. So, because I use them together. So I used the Deco Dots dies on the sides of the white cardstock, and then I backed that with orange paper. And then I cut out the thanks and stacked it up and used orange paper on the top of that as well. And once I put the thanks on, I thought it looked a little bit dull, so I used a hole puncher and I punched out some holes with the orange paper and made it a little bit more fun. So along the same lines with this is, since it's deco, I figured the whole black and gold look. So I used a gold paper, a metallic gold paper, and then I did the same thing. I die cut with the deco die, and I die cut the thanks in black and stacked it a few times. In this one, instead of putting dots around the thanks, I took the dots that I cut out with the deco die, and I used those on top of the thanks to make it like a little polka dot thanks. And then put a couple more of the black dots on the inside. So, and then to segue into our dots, polka dot stamp, this one here is with the Big Thanks cutting die. I stamped the polka dot stamp in blue. Then I backed it on with silver sparkle cardstock and then stacked the thanks a few times and put the silver sparkle cardstock on that too. That's nice and shimmery. And then I had some like metal bullet things that I embellished with. So, and then we've got our dot stamp. Oh, this stamp, again, it's just so much fun. So we've got the dot stamp, and then there's the fill-in stamps, there's outline stamps, and then there's all these cute little things that you can stamp inside or outside of the dots to embellish it. So the first one I made, so this one I've got the pink background with the brown dots, and then I backed that with a brown sparkle cardstock. And I stamped out the rose. I believe this is a Stampendous rose. And I stamped that in brown, and then I used my ink to watercolor in. My ink wasn't quite water safe, so it bled a little bit, but as I sort of smooshed it off with the cloth, it actually gave it more of an antique look, which I really liked. So it's a mistake that worked out well. So next, I realize it's March. I know it's March. Halloween is really far away, but with this one I used I was just playing with the dots and I was stamping out different things, so I used the Hero Arts ombre stamp pad, and I inked up the polka dots and I stamped it down, and I realized it looked like candy corn, so I thought that would be really cool to make it into a Halloween card. So I used the Inkadinkadoo Halloween stamps. These are pretty old. I've had them for a really long time, but they work. So I did the trick or treat with that, and then the spider with that, and then I used the little candy on a bunch of the different dots. So now I've got my tricks, which are my spiders, and my treats, which are the little candies. So the next one I have is just stamped out with yellow. I used the little flower accent from the stamp set and stamped just a line with black flowers. Did a black triangle on the bottom, kind of gave it the geometric look, and then the scallop cutting die and the greeting in the center. So that one is nice and fun, and it was easy to make too. So this one is so much fun too. Polka dots, black and white polka dots, they're just the best. So the background is done with black, and then I have it backed with red, and the greeting is cut out with a red circle and a white circle, and that's the stitch cutting dies. You can see the stitching there. So, and then just a strip of red, like a little belt going across. And the happy birthday is from the Concord and 9th mandala stamp set. So, and my last dot one, this one is super fun. So polka dots are really great for, you mouse fans out there. So I stamped with red. Then I filled in the dots with the fill-in dots with yellow. And then I used the outline for the dots in black. And then die cut the thanks. And I have this, I'm pretty sure it's a Tim Holtz Sizzix die. Came in a set of these sort of artistic, splashy kind of dies. And I cut out the mouse with that, and then I just trimmed down some to make his ears. So if you've got a friend that's a big Disney fan, this is a great card. So, and then I'll move on to my flower stamps. So I'm going to start with like the most simple, basic use of the stamp. So you stamp the stamp down, and then you got your outline stamp, and then you fill in with the flowers. And that's all I did with this card. Now, the stamp itself has more flowers than the fill-ins that come in the set. So there are these really cool dot stamps that are in there. And what I did is I took the dots and I filled in the flowers that weren't colored with the dots because, frankly, I just didn't feel like coloring. And then I used some more of the dots as embellishment around the card and made it into a birthday card. So, and then we have this one too. Again, just a very basic use of the stamp itself. Stamped it out, used the fill-in stamps, dots again in the flowers, and made it into a Happy Easter card. This one here, I also used the cutting die. There's a little center bit in the cutting dies, and I put that on there and then added a little jewel to the center to make it a little bit more exciting. So, and then this one here, all I did with this one was I stamped out the silhouette or the fill-in images, and then I used the cutting die to cut out the flower, and then the cutting die just cuts out the outline of the flower. So I put that over on top of that. I drew in some stems and made this into a nice sympathy card. So then we have this one here. This one's along the same lines, but what I did with this one is I stamped out the stamp with Simon Says Fog ink, which is super light gray. And then I used pieces of it and stamped around the top too to kind of fill it in. And then I used the fill-in stamps on the ones that there were fill-in stamps for. Then I die cut out the flowers. I die cut out the flowers and I inked them and then put them on top. So they're kind of floating there a little bit, but it's pretty sort of artistic. So, and then that's backed on that sparkly Nina cardstock paper. So, and then this one here, I actually used paper piecing on. So with this one, you definitely want to use the Glad Press and Seal to do the paper piecing because it's pretty tedious if you try to do it by hand alone. So I paper pieced it, and the way I did the background for this one, I watercolored some paper with like a light pink ink, and then I spritzed it with blue sparkle spray. So that gave it that mottled look that you see. And then I took I die cut the flower out, and this is the outside of the flower. I went ahead and backed that on blue paper, and I haven't made a card with this yet, but I will. And then I used a separate die cut and just inked that blue, and that's what I did the inlay with. So, and I drew in some stems, and it's got the sequins, and I made it into a get wall card. So, and my last card, but not probably not the last one I'm going to make, but the last one I have to show you. This one here. I also did the die cut inlay and I combined with just backing the flower. So the way I did the leaves, you can see it has a little bit of dimension there. So the actual veins of the leaves I stacked. So there's 2 layers of cardstock there. So there's the top part and then the bottom part. And then when I inlaid the pieces, I used one of those little paper tools, and I kind of pressed it in with it, and then I took the skinnier part of it and I went around the edges, and that really pressed it in, so it really has some dimension. So the way I did the flower itself, I inked up some paper, and I just die cut the flower and glued it onto the paper, and then I just trimmed the paper. I fussy cut the flower out. And I realized that my cardstock that I used to die cut the flower was a little too close to the pink ink that I used, so I ended up taking another, die cutting another one and then just stacking it on top of there. And then after I was done with that, I shimmer misted the whole thing so it's kind of sparkly. And then I took a sparkle pen and I put little dots in the center to make it a little bit more exciting. Made that a happy birthday card with the sentiment from the set, and then just put a bunch of jewels on there, and that is it. So well, I hope you have enjoyed these cards. If you have, please subscribe and like the video and subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you.